That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing.
Don't worry, it's an ad for Raid Shadow Legends.
No!
I hate you.
Guys, I'll tell you about Raid Shadow Legends later.
That face, that's the face I have right now. Like, that's the face I have woken up with every day this week. Thanks to sinusitis.
You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before.
It was trash.
I'm still waiting for news on Digimon Survive.
Oof.
Oof.
Oh look, it's Wagahai.
That cat has better animation than any character in this entire game.
That's where all the money went.
Good!
For this cat! Hello everybody, welcome back to Case 5 of the Great Ace Attorney. Shomes has been very depressed for an entire week. We were supposed to talk about
broken his back.
Well, we're gonna talk about pawnbroking in particular today, so maybe that's why he's just bummed out, because we made him wait an entire week to explain what pawnbroking is. Also, pray for Lewis's internet doesn't die.
We are holding a prayer circle for my power to not flicker.
What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works?
To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks.
Thanks.
Oh god, I have to explain that too. On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. They get better rates than GameStop, at least.
Oh my god.
And then on Saturdays, they go to recover the things using the money they've earned.
I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us.
So wait, pawnbrokery is just bank loans.
Yeah. Except you give your own personal items instead of, like, exchanging actual coins?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, you hold my stuff as collateral, you give me money, and at the end of the week, I pay you back I pay you back the money I borrowed and get my stuff back.
I can see a problem with that if you give someone something and they go, and you go, here you go, and at the end of the week they're like, oh, well, I think it's actually worth this now.
Yeah, that's what we call interest.
Well, I think this pawnbroker that we're going to doesn't have interest, so let's just go with that.
Everyone does it, you see? Especially people in inner London.
And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise.
How ingenious.
So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windy Banks, you see?
Just casually leaving it at Windy Banks, alright.
A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault.
Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain?
Of course you
Wow,
have
who
to...
would have thought that cultures were different?
Of course you
Who
have
would
to
have
watch
thought?
Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley?
Why didn't you pawn the thing if you didn't want it? I'm confused, mister.
Vault is dead to me now.
Okay.
This is Shomes. We never know what's going on in his head, okay?
Oh, what was that?
But Susato, I think you know who, yeah.
Wagahai? Oh. Oh no!
They killed the cat, kill him.
It was... even though I know the answer.
Oh no! Wagahai's tangled up in your violin!
Okay, I didn't know the answer.
What?
Mickey thinks it's a toy.
No! What's he doing to it? Destroying it.
Dear Mr. Shome's precious violin,
Sato, snap out of it. We need to get him out of the violin.
Why should I care?
Oh my god.
What?
I shouldn't be surprised if the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now.
Oh my god!
Well, I don't hear the cat making music.
Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he?
Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Lily?
The cat or the violin?
I think it meant the violin. Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Oh no. Oh no. Oh
We look at the
no.
violin. Complete annihilation.
Oh no, it looks fine from here.
Complete annihilation.
Well, in the close-up it does. Oh wow, it just broke a string. That's so depressing.
Complete annihilation.
So this is the violin, is it?
Why does he have a skull?
It's Sholmes. Of course he has a skull.
It's a Stradivarius. Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Whatever, I don't care.
Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me.
Well, neither does your badge.
I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley.
Now I'm just imagining Sholmes going around with his violin, showing it into people's faces.
The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings.
How honorable of you.
Oh, and until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there any reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No.
Sholmes, are you like a poet now or something?
There is none.
There are none poets.
Mr. Sholmes?
What, dear madam? What? My thoughts are preoccupied with the fancies of release from this dull routine.
Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think?
Huh?
What do you mean, Mr. Sato?
Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different.
Is that all? I'm sure there was no crack here before.
Wait,
How do we
it's
know that wasn't the cat?
not even the
Oh.
right size, is it?
Oh, he has a viola. I got it.
This...
God, just everything's in your book, isn't it?
We will now consult the magic Wikipedia.
This is Wikipedia, if you will. I'm terribly sorry to tell you, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all.
Goodbye,
Oh
Final.
my god, he's been stunned into silence.
I think
Then what?
I think the Discord hates Final to this today.
I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola.
What?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you alright?
You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what? Pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam?
It's a viola. We just told you it's viola. It's a
Iris,
different
get the
type of
cat over here.
instrument.
Not your faithful performing partner, then.
I need some kind of detective to figure out what's going on here.
Ah, I see what must have happened.
You do, Iris?
This is just a simple mix-up.
It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we asked her. Well,
Then ask her.
Probably Sholmes being Sholmes and not paying attention when he got the freaking viola. Cause it's Sholmes. What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris?
Well, you see, this this viola, I mean, was at Windy Banks until last week.
Brokers?
Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. Oh, and now you're better.
There was a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows.
Are we?
Always let a beloved child travel.
What?
I've never
Have you ever heard
that.
of Pokemon?
Oh, God.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yes, indeed. I do have some friends up in the Hisui region.
I'm gonna scream.
Lewis, I hate to break it to you, but Pokemon Legends is like roughly 20 years before the timeline of this particular game, so it's not inaccurate.
I'm gonna scream!
So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hopes that it would experience personal growth?
What?
Oh, what a wonderful idea.
Sorry, are you playing a violin or grazing a chow? What are you
I know,
doing?
right?
Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windybank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead.
You know what? I don't think it was Windybank's fault. I think it was you not paying attention because you're frickin' Sholmes.
But my ears cannot be deceived by this hollow timber of this piece of timber.
They were deceived pretty well.
That was a funny piece of sentence dialogue. frickin' localization, man. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings.
Ah, a fine state of affairs this is. And why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time.
You've never said
Okay.
that, but alright.
But earlier you told us you could think of a pawnbroker as an extremely secure vault.
Okay, how secure was that vault of that one guy who stole like 20 shillings or something for the races?
Well, he was a banker, so he worked there, so I think in that case it's more of he was being a terrible criminal in that regard, but... Oh, I see your point.
I just wanted shelter. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere.
Sorry?
You're the one who's... Okay.
Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect. Pressing your copy so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced?
Well,
What
we weren't
urgency?
urgent until we told you it was a viola, so,
Also, why do we gotta go? What? Go get it yourself!
Visit Mr. Windybank's broker at once. Isn't that right, Mr. Sholmes?
Precisely, Mr. Sato. Without a moment's delay.
But why? This is his mishap! But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. Oh my god, I'm with Nirinosuke. No, I need to eat my breakfast.
We're living here with Mr. Sholmes. He's being very nice to give us some room here, so we should go to help him out if we can, Mr. Naruhodo.
Nirinosuke runs out the door with toast in his mouth, like one of those, like, Japanese high school memes.
And then he gets hit by a bus like in that one anime.
No!
and then he ends up in Hisui.
No!
My god, I've traveled 20 years into the past.
My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect? To press your egg over ever more obtusely?
This
Yes,
is your mess!
actually.
You fucking solve it!
Alright, say no more. Let's go then.
Don't worry, Bruno. I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later.
Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbrokers look like.
Oh, so Naruhodo was just complaining for the sake of complaining.
I mean, he's just
keep
grumbling.
trying-
I mean, I would be grumbling too, but also people are just dragging me anyway, so what's the point? I might as well just go, like, huh.
I keep
have
trying
no
to
fight.
not curse, but Sholmes makes it really hard.
Look at all the different things in the window of the shop.
Yeah, like closed. Oh wait, the other
Windy
shop.
When you said clothes, I thought you said clothes, and
Yeah,
I was
I
trying
thought
to
of
look for.
clothes.
I saw clothes. Okay, well, yes. Anyways, that's Windy Banks, the pawnbroker, not the shop next door, which is obviously closed, as you can see by the sign.
It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it?
Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops a home rather inapproachable, personally.
It reminds me of me tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sure
a pen.
that Koban person is saying that right now as he misplaces Koban
wait,
again.
Wait a second. It's next door. It's next door?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get it yourself, Sholmes!
It's already been 2 months.
Lazy bum!
It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Shom's office. This is a nice place, though.
I actively hate you, Sholmes.
I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this.
I know. Would you like to be sharing accommodations with the world's greatest detective? If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I'll have not one regret.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. So
Let's
Sato,
turn
what
you
the
into
heck?
Maya.
In
I
Shom's
could
presence,
meet-
she turns into Maya.
My walk to my own mailbox is longer than this walk.
He's a horse. He can do whatever he wants. I want to steal.
15th of April, Windy Banks Pawnbrokery.
Sure has a lot of clocks.
Uh-huh. So,
Do you have the time?
Man,
No.
skulls are common here.
so this is a British pawnbrokery.
There's a lot of hats up there.
Hey, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before.
Sasato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this.
Yes. I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is the real thrill for me.
Just touch everything. Something goes boom.
My dear fellow, let us not forget why we are here.
You can do that yourself. We're gonna go look around the store.
Yeah, because you were super depressed. That's why we're here.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, I see above your shoulder there's some type of, brass instruments. I believe they call that a beagle.
We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure.
And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes.
You know, maybe you shouldn't be trying to punch things.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back.
Did you brazen welcome?
Well, yes, we are potential customers after all.
We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo. And it's time to inform Mr. Windybank of our ire.
Jones is gonna like walk off to this dude and punch him.
Right?
Come, the fight is afoot.
I mean, if he says that, he definitely sounds like he's gonna punch him.
He's gonna call the cops
Break
on you,
something.
man.
Look
You're
at this.
gonna break something.
This guy's just vibing. What the heck?
Hello, sir. Can we pawn this off on you?
Mr. Windybank, about this.
Let me see. I'll give you a tuppence for it.
Oh, no, I don't want to pawn it.
Then why'd you show it to him?
Just present everything.
Naturally, call this, which I retrieved from you some days ago.
Yes?
This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windybank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size.
Look at this man mimicking everything we found.
A summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes.
Thanks, Sasato. I so very sorry, sir. How
He sold it,
utterly
didn't he?
unforgivable of me. An inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There is only one way to make amends.
He's
Oh, I
making a
thought
run
he-
for it. Wait, oh my god, is he gonna shoot us? Hang on.
Whoa,
Oh my god, no, wait.
whoa.
Whoa, chill,
that
chill,
really quickly.
chill,
Okay.
chill.
Okay.
Hang on. All right,
Okay, this went from 0 to 100. What the hell?
Oh my god.
sir, chill out.
I shall have to take my own life.
No, you don't have to do that.
You also shouldn't do that because someone may have pawned that off on you, and they'll be wondering why the bullet counts as lower.
Yo, the animation of that dude running back and then like getting a gun and then running towards that was a roller coaster. I went on an emotional roller coaster. Was he running away? Was he gonna shoot us? Oh god.
I was
my
about
God.
to just make a JoJo joke about, Joseph Joestar running away, but no, then he pulled out the gun. I'm like, wait, what the hell's going on?
Persona
And then
3
all of a
time.
sudden this.
I was gonna yell he's making a run for it, then he pulled out a gun and it's like, oh my god!
I don't think that will be necessary, do you?
I certainly hope not.
If I may just say one thing before I pop off.
Yes?
It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe.
Sorry?
You're an idiot, is what we're saying.
As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, here it is.
You did.
And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing an idiot like you to leave.
No, come on, don't enable him.
I mean, to be fair, he's just next door.
Right?
You could have just knocked on his door and say, "Hey, Schultz, you got the wrong thing."
You know what? That's right. I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me.
No,
they're both-
stop, my
they're
dear
both
fellow.
idiots.
The fault is mine.
Ugh.
It would appear that the fight is over.
What a way to guilt customers, huh?
Right?
I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windybank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this, tragedy.
Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you?
Do believe you may be right, sir.
It's
Final Fantasy
either
X reference.
It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers.
He's the challenging customer. You pulled out a gun unprompted, dude.
I mean, that might be why he pulled it out.
Let's not mince words here. Like you are no slouch.
I needn't remind you of the peculiar collections of items you've brought through my door in the past.
Oh? Peculiar items?
In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work. The novels of Herlock Sholmes as such.
A new full-fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I've yet to read, you mean?
Forgive me!
Wait, before you die, you must tell me more.
Oh wow, she doesn't. It's like, you know what? You can take your life. Just give me the book. Give me the goods. Give it to me. I need it.
You must know more. Tell me everything.
Wow, Susato-san is really fired up now.
I need fan art of like Susato just like while the dude is holding a gun to his head, just like grabbing him by the collar. It's like, tell me.
Brilliant. An unpublished story under this very roof.
Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see.
I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windybank.
For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. Not a farthing more.
It has something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
I beg your pardon? A manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript?
Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here.
And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this?
Bring out the Cyclops.
Continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely.
Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. This is all very strange.
Sir, if you die, I'm pretty sure they're not safe anymore.
Yeah, right. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the East, I see. That sable suit. Well, I suppose I could offer you 6 for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha! But for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say.
My, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting.
Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here?
Your school uniform is boring.
Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London. Well, yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you described. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure stowage. If in that time they repaid the original sum to me, plus the agreed interest, oh, I guess there was interest, their items are happily returned.
What happens if they don't pay you the money?
Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me.
You never said items before the 2 months has passed, then?
That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all.
Don't do that.
Please.
The very idea, Mr. Windybank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually.
Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning.
That's the man who was just like, I found a dead body on a boat. Doop-de-doop-de-doop.
And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs.
Oh, what sort of measures?
I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windybank has installed here in this shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Windybank?
What was that deep sigh about?
It doesn't work. It works too well. It's garbage.
What on earth is a red-handed recorder?
Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling.
I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device.
Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop.
Here, I have an example I could show you. In color? That's nice.
Ah, yes. A prints from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter.
Okay, that picture of the dog looks like it's actually a real picture of a dog that they just photoshopped into the...
It's not Takumi's dog.
No, Takumi has a Pomeranian. Well, no, the Pomeranian passed away, so that's probably someone else in the development.
We need a picture of a dog. I'm on it.
I developed a special type of film so sensitive, it produces a crystal clear image, even in darkness.
Really? That's extraordinary.
Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look!
I can only see the counter because my eyes are not that good.
See, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed.
Did you not say the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals?
Indeed, say, my dear madam.
Then what if the incident were to occur in between times?
One could only say, that would be a cruel twist of fate.
Or a big oversight on your part.
A cruel twist of fate.
Yeah, I think Windy Bank is not happy about that.
Yeah, 30 minutes is a lot of time to get something done.
I must confess your device has been giving me some cause for distress of late.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Windybank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word.
It's the cost of the film, sir. You must graciously place not one, but 2 cameras in my shop, after all. Which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older.
Jones, why don't you pay for the frickin' prints?
Yeah.
This is the thing you set up.
It's a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker.
For him?
No?
Why don't you pay for it?
My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price.
Okay,
Then you foot the bill.
Heaven help us. I was gonna say, why
I'll
don't
tell
you
you
foot
about
the bill,
Surfshark
Jones?
VPN.
Well, now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin.
Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Windybank.
Also gonna pay for the broken viola?
I was gonna say, perhaps this might mark the end of the particular items you try to pop. Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer.
Oh my
Or could you stop?
I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not! Sorry? I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Also, Windy Bank,
I think that's even more disturbing. Good day to you then, Mr. Windybank.
Who's gonna leave him?
It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. I guess we're leaving him.
No, Mr. Naruto.
That man's gonna die, and that's gonna be the case.
Now
isn't
we
it?
can explore it less.
Oh, we're not leaving. We're gonna look around the place. All right, then. We're gonna
We're
do
just
that.
gonna leave him there. He's just gonna have the gun held to his head the entire time while we're in here.
You just have it there, and then you're just like, okay, I can't keep this up anymore. My arm is hurting. Okay.
Even when we walk in here and he's not holding a gun, we'll know he has a loaded gun.
Yep. We will deal with that in the next video because we're a little bit out of time, so we can explore the pawn shop properly next time.
You know what can happen in 30 minutes, Mr. Sholmes? A video.
Oh my god.